Hey everyone, welcome to our Blender Beginner series. So this whole series is broken up into 6 different chapters. So in chapter 1, we'll look at how to do all the modeling, so taking basic primitive shapes inside Blender and creating more complex 3D assets. And then chapter 2, we'll have a look at how to UV unwrap all of our models so that we can take it into texturing, which we'll cover in chapter 3. Then chapter 4, we'll look at our lighting and our cameras before we start looking at some surface imperfections. And then finally, we'll do rendering and compositing. So there are some resources that you need to download to be able to follow along. So if you click the link in the description of the video, you will find all the reference images we use to actually model everything. There's also a file of all the custom decals I've created that you can use inside the scene, and there's also an ebook that talks through the whole process as well, so you can either follow along to the videos or you can follow along to the ebook as well. It covers the same things. If you've got any questions about anything as you're going through it, leave a comment in the video that you're struggling with, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so when you first open Blender, it will look like this with a splash screen. You can just click anywhere for that to disappear, and when you first bring in Blender, your scene will have a camera, cube, and a sunlight by default. So you can zoom in with your scroll wheel going in and out. If you click your scroll wheel, it will orbit around, and if I hold down shift and my scroll wheel, I can pan everything around like that. So first of all, I want to delete everything that is in the scene and start from scratch. So to select everything, you can either drag left mouse button and drag across and select all like that, or you can press A for all on your keyboard, and then you can either press the delete key or X, which is also delete, and select delete like that. So this is the workspace. Now, if you look at the top of Blender, you got a few different other workspaces that exist. So we will mainly be using layout and then a little bit of compositing and UV editing, but we'll cover those a little bit later on. On the right hand side of your screen, you've got what's called the outliner. So as we start to add things, they'll all appear down here. And then we've got the properties panel down here. So again, when we start adding things, you can start playing around with the properties of things that you brought in. So other few basic controls. So if you press the key that's just above the tab key, you get this option here, so that you snap to orthographic view of your screen, whatever you need. And then to get out of that, just hold down your middle mouse scroll wheel and shake it, and it'll go back to how it was originally. So to add things in Blender, the keyboard shortcut for that is Shift A, and that's how you add anything inside of Blender. So you come to different meshes that you might have, curves, lights, and reference images. So the first thing we're going to add to our scene to start building it all up is the table for everything to sort of like be focused around. So I'm going to come to the front view by pressing that tab key just above the tab key. And then I'm going to go Shift A. I'm going to come down to Image and Reference. Now on my desktop, I've then got a folder of my reference images. So if I come here, I'm going to grab this here. Now I've got this one here because it has all the dimensions on there. I'm going to grab that by hitting G for grab, and I can just move it around. Now, when you bring everything in, it's all going to be based around where this 3D cursor is. So you can move that 3D cursor around and it'll go somewhere else, but we're going to leave it right in the center for now. I'm going to go Shift A, doing the same thing again, reference, and we're going to grab another one and just bring it up, Shift A, reference, just so we've got a few different references that we can see. Now, if you select one of those reference images on the data and the properties panel down here, you got this one down here that says data. Click on it and you can do things like change the opacity of it. So you can bring it down to make it less visible. So I normally bring it down to be a little bit less so that you can see through it. I'm going to do the same for all of those. Like that. You can also, if you play around with these, make it so that it's only visible from certain sides. So you see that now it's not visible from the back, but it is visible from the front, but I tend to just leave it on as both. So we've got some reference images, and we're going to start to model this table. Now I'm also going to come to the Scene tab on my Properties panel and go to Units. And by default, we've got it set to metric, which is what we want. But actually what we're going to do is change it to millimeters, like that, because at the minute it's set to meters, so everything will be quite big. So we're going to set it to millimeters. And the other thing that I'm going to change, just because I prefer how it actually looks, is I'm going to come to this arrow at the top here to viewport shading and turn cavity on. So we're going to start to model our table. Now, a general rule with 3D modeling is anything that's a separate part in real life, you'd make as a separate part when you're actually 3D modeling it as well. So we're going to start with the table top, then we'll do the bits underneath, legs, and then this little shelf there as well. So we're going to add in a mesh to start with. So going to Shift A, mesh. I'm going to grab a cube. So we've got this cube here. Now by default, this cube is 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. Now you can check that if you hit N and you come to item and you come to dimensions here. It's got 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, but it's now changed to millimeters because that's how we've had it. Now we can change that. So I'm going to bring this a bit closer. So this is why it's important to make sure you've got dimensions. We know that left to right, so our width, and you can see here that is going along our X along there, is 120 centimeters. So if we go X here, and if we select it, X, and we type in 120, and you can type in centimeters, and it'll update it. Like that, we know that the height is 82 centimeters. So height is going Z up and down. So Z there, and we can type 82. Now, obviously set to millimeters, so I could do 820 millimeters, and it'd be the same thing. And we know that the depth of it, so going along the Y, is 55. So we can go Y, and we can type in 55 centimeters or 550 millimeters, like that. So that right here, if I press N then to get rid of this panel here, is the overall dimensions of the whole table. Obviously, we're not modeling the whole table in one go, but that gives you a rough idea of the sort of size it's going to be. Now, I'm actually going to take the reference images and scale them down to be a similar sort of size so we can keep it in view. So remember, I'm clicking on it, hitting G to grab it. If you want to move it just left and right, if I hold G, press G and then press X, it will lock into that axis. Same if I do it and press Z, so G and Z, it will always lock it. But for now, I'm just going to move it down to size, just so I can see them there. Okay. Now we don't have that little thickness there, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is sort of eyeball it a little bit. I'm going to take this and duplicate it by holding down Shift and the D key. Press X just to move it to the side so we know that's going to be the right size. So then what we'll do is I want to make this a bit smaller. So if I press Tab to go into edit mode, now with 3D modeling, each model is made up of 3 things. You've got vertices, which are these dots here. You got edges, which are the lines, and then you got the faces, which are the big surfaces there. Okay, now you can scroll between those by pressing 1 to go to vertices, 2 to go to edge, 3 to go to face, or at the top here, you got these 3 icons here, but you can scroll through those pressing 1, 2, or 3. So essentially, when you're modeling, all you're going to do is grab a face and edge or vertices, and then you can move them around to change the shape of it all. Okay. If I've done that, by the way, and I want to cancel that action, if I just press the right button on my mouse, it resets it to what it was originally. So I'm going to do this top little piece here. So I want to grab the bottom here and bring that up by pressing G and Z. But the problem is, as I've done that, it's not grabbed the back vertices. So I'm going to press Control Z to undo. Comes back to the front. And if I go to Shift and Z, I go into X-ray mode. And when I go into X-ray mode, if I were to box select like that, G and Z to bring up, it's going to grab the ones at the back as well. So just be aware of that. You do need to make sure you are in, if I do redo that, you need to make sure you're in X-ray mode. Otherwise, it's not going to grab the vertices or the edges that are behind it. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Shift Z to go into X-ray mode. I'm going to box select like that, just to make sure I'm selected. G to grab it. Now I want to just make sure it goes up. So if I press Z, it will lock it into position like that. Now, we've now got the top part of our table. Now, if you look here, you've got some rounded corners. Okay, so we want to add those into our shape. So what I'm going to do is, before we do anything, well, I'm going to show you it without doing it. I'm going to hit Tab on it to go to edit again. Press 2 to go to edge mode, or you can click up here and grab these edges, the corners here, like that. Now, to round off those edges, I'm going to come to the top. The keyboard shortcut is Control B, which is for bevel. So I'm going to go Shift B, Control B, and click. Now, it's hard to see, but down at the bottom left, our bevel menu has appeared, but it's minimized. So if you can't see it, it's because it's been minimized like that. So what I can do is play around with the width like this and start to add some segments. Now, the problem we've got is it's not actually gone how we expect it because we've played around with the scale. So I'm going to actually undo that. Now, the reason that's happened is because we've altered the scale of the original cube. And you can see that if I go on N here, the scales will set. It needs to be like uniform. So what we can do is have that selected and press Control A to apply and go to all transforms. Now if I press N, and then if I try and bevel those again, come to the top, Control B, you can see that those bevels are now more even. And I'm going to add 2 segments like that. And I'm going to round it off a little bit like that. So you can see I've now rounded off those corners. Now, one of the key concepts when it comes to 3D modeling is that each face needs to be what's called a quad, so a 4-sided shape. Okay. Now, the problem we've got at the minute is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 vertices on this one shape. So that's not in what's called quad. So we need to fix that topology. Okay. Now to do that, it's super easy. Okay. What we're going to do is come to the top. I'm going to grab this vertices and then grab this vertices and just press J. And you can see it's joined a line, an edge going across there to there. I'll do the same at the top here. Grab that, hit J. Up here, J. Like that. And you can see now that's an all quad. So we've got 4-sided shapes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, but we've also got 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices. Same along here and same along here. Now we need to do the same on the bottom. So we'll do that nice and quick. Again, holding on Shift, select one, select the other, hit J. Select one, select the other, press J. Okay, so that is now the top of our table. Okay, now we want to start adding some more details in. So I'm actually going to give this a quick save. And let's call this okay. Now I haven't got autosave enabled because annoyingly Blender creates a lot of autosave files when you're doing that, and I don't want to like bog down my hard drive, so I'm not going to enable autosave, but you can enable that if you want to. So what we want to do here is we've got this little piece that comes up, so we can add that in quite easily. Come to the top. Now we want to add, so we're going to tab some extra geometry. Now to do that, what I can do is go Control R to add an edge loop like this, which is going to be an extra edge. And if I drag it anywhere, I can put it, but I want to be right in the middle, press right click so it goes directly in the middle. Okay. Now, the reason I've done that, the other way you could do that is just sort of Control R and drag it roughly to where you want it to be, like that, which would be fine, but you've got no way of knowing it's exactly in the right place and it's even. So I'm going to do Control R to go right in the middle, go to edge mode and make sure if I was on Alt and select that whole edge that's going all the way around. If I go Control B to bevel and change the segments back to 1 and just drag it across, you can see here that they're going to be evenly spaced around, okay, which is exactly what we need. I'm then going to come here, go to face mode by pressing 3 or grabbing this option up here, select that face, E to extrude, and it will automatically snap to Z. If not, press Z. If I press Z again, it's going to unsnap it, but come to Z and just bring that up, something like that. Okay, so you see we're starting to make the shape of the top of our table. Again, you see here we've got some rounded edges, so let's round those edges off. Pressing 2 to go to edge mode, grab these 2 edges here, and then Control B to bevel. Increase the width a little bit, and then increase the segment so we round it off, like that. And we've got the same problem as before. We need to make sure that we're joining these vertices up, so we can do that by just selecting those and pressing J to join again. And again, let's come across here and press J, like that. Now we do need to add some more here because this at the minute doesn't go anywhere. So what we're going to do is Control R to add that edge loop there, and Control B to bevel that like we did before, and drag that just so it goes in place like that. And then all we can do, go back to vertices mode and just grab those 2 and J. Grab those 2, hit J, come back around the other side. Like that. Now I'm just going to press undo for a second because I accidentally joined an extra face, which I didn't mean to. So what we're going to do is select those 2 like that. Okay, so that's the top part of our table done. We are going to round the corners on the top and bottom round eventually, but we're going to do that once we've done the other parts of our table. So we're going to have this little part down here that's going to have our drawers. So what I'm going to do is let's grab these faces here. I'm going to hit E to extrude and bring down. Again, I've not got exact measurements, so I'm just going to roughly go by what I think looks about right. Something like that. And there's drawers here, but I'm actually feel like I'm not going to have the drawers. I'm going to keep them sort of like open so they're little like shelves instead. Okay, now we've got that. We are going to round those corners off, but we won't do that just yet. Much like before, we want to have even drawers. So I'm going to press Control R to do another edge loop and Control B to bevel and just drag that to about where I want the other drawers to be. Like that, maybe a bit less. Let's redo that. Something like that. So we've got these drawers here. I'm going to grab these two faces, and then I'm going to press I to inset to cut that in a little bit. And I want to cut those into the surface. So if I press E to extrude, and again, it should snap automatically along. I'm going to go in like that. So we've now got those drawers. I think actually, again, I'm going to make those drawers a bit bigger. So I'm going to undo, Control B to bevel and make that a little bit smaller. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Hit I to extrude and just drag it in. And again, you can play around with the thickness here to make it more or less. We'll just bring it in a little bit. And then E to extrude and drag it back. Like that. So what we're then going to do is let's round off all the edges of our table. So to begin with, what we're going to do is let's grab all of these corners here. I'm holding down Shift and just rotating around like that. I'm going to grab all these edges like that. Work your way around. I'm going to grab these corners here. Come to the back. So we now have got all those bottom ones. I'm then going to do the same with the top. And then what we'll do is we'll bevel, but we're just going to make sure we've grabbed everything first. Okay, now another quick way to check that you've got all those edges is if you go to Shift Z to go to X-ray mode, you can have a look through and check that you selected all those edges. Check that everything is selected. Okay, and then what we're going to do is go to Control B to bevel. Now, because we have changed the units and it's quite small, so we need to put it in a bit smaller manually. So we do like 2 like that. Add an extra segment to round off those corners. Now, if you look here in these corners here with our drawers, we've got quite horrible triangles here. It's going to make some quite horrible shading issues. So under miter options on your bevel, I'm going to change that to arc, so it rounds it off like that. Now I see here that I've accidentally missed an edge, so I'm going to Control Z to undo and just re-grab that. And do the same thing again. So let's do Control B. And did 2, didn't we? Like that. So you see now, we've rounded those edges off. Now the problem is, as before, we've added some extra edges that we now need to join up, which is fine. So we're going to Control R to add some edge loops and drag that up, and then we can hit there and press J to join. Same down here, Control R, hit J to join. We need to do one at the top, Control R, drag it across like that, join those. And you can see here, the whole concept is this is now staying as a four-sided shape with 4 vertices per corner, or per shape rather. Control R, drag it across, hit J, Control R, drag it across, J, and I'm going to do the same here. Okay, now the last ones we've got to join are these corners here. So we don't need to add edge loop select. We can just select that edge, come all the way over here, select this one, press J, and same here as well. And press J. So we've now joined that all together. And the way to check, obviously we want to smooth this all out later, is if we come to the properties panel and come to the modifiers, which is this spanner here, if we were to add modifier, go to generate and subdivision surface, what that does is round everything off, and we right click and shade smooth, and you want to check that it all looks right, because what can happen sometimes is if you haven't joined vertices up, the model essentially tries to pull itself apart. So if I were to quickly tell you what, let's undo, and we're not going to join that one up. Okay, let's subdivision surface, try and shade smooth, and you see here we've got this horrible sort of shading issue that's sort of breaking our model. Okay, so that's why you need to make sure you join these vertices together. Okay, and just to prove my point, let's do the same up here as well. And we'll do that. So generate subdivision surface, and you see here it's breaking the model, and it'll say it's the same on this side here as well. Okay, so Control Z to undo that. Let's just rejoin those. So let's just grab that vertices and that vertices, hit J. Grab that vertices, come over, hit J. And then we know that everything is joined up. We already rounded these corners off here, and we know what we came here. Now we are going to have to do the same up here as well. So we're going to come to the top, and let's do Control R to add some edge loops. Drag it up. Like that. I'm going to hit J to join those, and then this can just come to this corner here. And again, that's still a 1, 2, 3, 4-sided shape along here as well. Do exactly the same along here, so we can join those ones we've already added and come across like that. I'm going to do the same around here. Like that. And that then is the top of our table done. Okay, and again, just to double check, we're going to go generate subdivision surface and shade smooth. And if you ever want to double check if you have got strange shading issues that maybe you can't quite see yet, if you come to the top here, click on this shading menu, this little drop down here, go to matte cap, and then select this version here. What will happen, this reflective surface will show you if you've got any strange shading issues. Some people like to just model in just this mode, but I prefer it in the original like studio version. But it's a good way of just checking if you've got any errors in your model. Okay, we don't need to worry if it's got a little bit like low poly there, it's not got like super smooth, but that's just because we can add in an extra subdivision and it rounds it all off, because it's still all in quads, which is what we want. So I can turn that off. You can keep that if you want to, or just taking it back to studio. And if you're wondering, by the way, what if I turn that off and shade flat, Cavity does. Cavity, this one I turned on, just puts lines around the edges so you can see it a bit clearer, and I just prefer how it looks. So I'm going to give that a save, and that's the top of our table done. Okay, so next we're going to do these legs. So what we're going to do is let's come to the left. So we know the table legs are going to be that big. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's Shift A to add again, and we're going to go to cube like that. Now I'm going to go Shift Z so it's smaller. I'm going to press S to scale it and just drag it in a little bit, so it's roughly the shape that we want it. Now I want to go to edit mode, so remember that is tab, or you can always come to the object mode and go to edit mode, but tab is the easy way to scroll in and out of that. I'm in vertex mode, so I'm going to box select that, and remember, because I'm in X-ray mode, I can grab the back and the front of it. G to grab, and I want to go along the Y, which is this green line along here. So press Y, and it will lock it in place like that. I'm going to grab this one as well, G, Y. Bring those up, G, Z. I'm going to grab back here, G, Z to bring down, and G, Y to bring forwards a little bit. And I'm actually going to scale that down a little bit by pressing S. And that gives you an idea of our table. Now, annoyingly, obviously, we need to make sure that we are playing like it's along the front as well. So we can come along here, tab, go to edit mode. And we want to make sure that's flat. So if I go S, X, 0, it will scale it flat. Grab that, S, X, 0. Let's grab all of that, G and X to move it across. And we actually want to make sure, because it's going to sit here, G, Z, to bring it up a little bit. G, X, G, Z, like that. Let's grab this side, G, X, drag it in, like that. So we've then got one leg. Now, like before, we want to round off those edges. Now, because we've scaled it and played around with it, we're going to need to go to Control A to apply and all transforms again. Now, just so I can see it a bit clearer, what I actually want to do is just isolate so I can just see this leg. So I'll have that selected. If you press the / key, the same one that's got the question mark on it, it will hide everything except the one thing you've selected. To bring it all back again, just press that key again. The other way you can do that is by pressing the other things that you don't want to see and press H to hide it or Alt H to unhide it. But a faster way to is just select the one you want and press / key. So I'm going to select this, tab to go to edit mode. And because we haven't got any extra divots and stuff, it's quite easy. I'm going to press 2 to go to edge mode or select it up at the top here. A to select it all. Control B to bevel. And let's put in something relatively small. Something like 3, like that. And if you want to see how it looks, add your modifier and subdivision surface to round it all off, and right click and shade smooth, and you see what it's going to look like. / to bring it back. And that's one of our legs. Now, what we want to do is obviously duplicate those. So I'm actually going to remove that subdivision by pressing the X. And when you click on it and right click, when we smooth it, we shade smooth, but go back to shade flat to see what it looks like before you do that. So what we want to do is I'm actually going to hide some of these reference images now because we don't really need them. Is I want to mirror this over here because I know this is exactly right. I'm going to mirror it across. It's going to mirror it based on where the origin is. And the origin of this object is that orange dot there where this 3D cursor is. So it's actually in the right place at the minute. So what we're going to do is have that selected and go to Shift D to duplicate and just right click so it snaps back to where it is. I can go to right click, mirror, and we're going along the Y, this green line here, mirror along Y like that. Okay, so we've got that. The one thing you've got to be careful of, so if I come to this drop down here and go to face orientation, is sometimes, and it hasn't done it thankfully, although if I go to apply my transforms there, it has, it's made it inside out. Okay, so all that's happened now is because we've mirrored it, is the normal is the wrong way around. And essentially, what that means is that if you were to start applying materials or do other bevels and things to that, it would be inside out. So to fix that, you can just have that selected and go Shift N or Control N, sorry. Have it all selected and Control N or Shift N, and it'll correct it like that. Okay, so just to confirm, because I said that wrong twice then, have it selected, go tab to go to edit mode and select it all and go to Shift and N, and that will correct the normals. The other way of doing that is tab, select it all, go to mesh, normals, and flip, but calculate Shift N, so it is Shift N. I know I said Control N, but it is Shift N, like that. So we want to mirror both of those across there. Okay, so let's select both of those and let's just quickly Control J just to join them for now, so they're joined together. And we're going to do the same thing, Shift D to duplicate, right click, mirror, and this time we're going along X, like that. And you can just check it's all in place. Now we don't want those to be permanently joined, so if I tab to go to edit mode, 3 to go to face, and A to select all, press P to separate by loose parts, so they're now separate pieces again. I'm going to need the same on here, so select, go to tab to go to edit mode, 3 to select all, A, P for separate and loose parts. Now I'm going to apply transforms again, and it's got inside out, like that. So just remember, select it, tab to go to edit mode, A to select all, and Shift N stops that from being inside out. Okay, and that's just having face orientation selected there. Excuse me, it's not on by default, so you need to turn it on. And in Blender 5.0 onwards, it keeps shading normal unless it's inside, it goes red. But on older versions, everything that's the right around, it's this horrible blue color. So just be aware of that. So we have now got there, if I bring back our reference images, our finished table. So I can now get rid of this as our like scaling reference and give this a save. And that is step 1 of our beginner Blender course. So obviously we've got our table, we're going to start to populate it with things and slowly build it all up. So this whole first section of videos is going to be about the modeling side of things before we move on to the texturing and then the lighting and then the rendering. So hopefully that has made sense. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comment down below and let me know.